Hi students, welcome back to Transport in Living Things. We will be starting back with transport in plants since we have covered transport in humans. Okay, so transport in plants is considerably shorter than transport in humans. Okay. So the first thing that we will have to know is we have looked at terms of organ systems. Okay, so in plants we are calling this the vascular system. Now, why is that so? Is because the vascular system consists of three main components: phloem, cambium, and xylem. Okay, so in your syllabus, what you are supposed to know is the use of phloem and the use of xylem. So xylem and phloem, they do two different things. So xylem itself transports water and minerals strictly from the roots only to the leaves. Okay, now in terms of phloem, once food is being made by the leaves through photosynthesis, it will be transported to all parts of the plant since it is a food that is to be used. Okay, so xylem and phloem itself, when we look at the stem structure, you are supposed to know where the labeling is supposed to be at. Notice that your phloem is located at the outside region, okay, whereas your xylem itself is located at the inner region here. Okay, not the line represents the cambium, but the inner part here, which is the xylem. Okay, so that is the xylem itself. So in terms of the roots, we have got roots that have different functions. Okay, I mean the roots themselves do different functions. So of course the purpose of the roots is to hold the plant firmly in the soil, and in the absence of that we have got what we know as soil erosion during massive deforestation. Okay, another thing is it will also absorb the mineral salts and ions from the soil. So if you recall back your movement in substances, we talked about diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. So dissolved mineral salts enter into the root hair cells via active transport. Okay, so this is a recap from your earlier chapter. So it enters via active transport, whereas for your water, it enters through osmosis. Okay, so recap will be good when you do topics that are layered one after another. Okay, now in terms of specialized cells, also a recap. So root hair cells, they have got a long protrusion. So the purpose of this long protrusion is to increase the surface area to volume ratio. Okay, now why is this important? Is because I need a faster rate of diffusion. Okay, so root hair cells, the purpose of it, since it is to absorb mineral salts and ions, they will require a large central vacuole to store these minerals and food substances. Okay, so when I have got active transport of these minerals, so let's say this is my root hair cell. Okay, inside itself I have got my cell surface membrane, so my mineral salts is going to enter. Okay, so upon my mineral salts entering, what happens to the water potential is that this water potential in the root hair cell itself gets lowered. So since the water potential in the root hair cell gets lowered, what process will take place next? The next process that will take place is what we know as osmosis. Okay, so osmosis is just the movement of water itself. So upon lower water potential in the root hair cell, osmosis takes place and water enters into the root hair cell via osmosis. Okay, until it finally reaches the vessels. It will just continue up until it reaches the xylem vessels. Okay, so from the xylem vessels, it travels up to the leaves. Now the leaf, when you open up a segment of the leaf, you will have the upper layer and you also have the lower layer. Now the upper layer itself, it has got this waxy cuticle, sort of think of it as like the fingernails for the plant. Okay, it is waterproof. It also prevents pathogens from affecting the plant itself, like a protective layer. Okay, you have got two epidermis. One is the upper epidermis, which is at the top, and you also have the lower epidermis, which is at the bottom. Okay, so right under the upper epidermis, we have got two types of mesophyll. The palisade mesophyll, which you can see it's rectangular in nature. Okay, it is cylindrical shaped and it is packed closely to each other. Whereas your spongy mesophyll, they are more separated out and they don't have a regular shape. Okay, so palisade mesophyll, they are packed tightly to each other. Okay, it has got multiple number of chloroplasts. Okay, so what is the purpose of having these multiple chloroplasts is because the palisade mesophylls, they are closest to the top. So because they are closest to the top, they can absorb most of the light energy. So therefore, it can convert the light energy into chemical energy. Okay, so which is why the top part of the leaf, they tend to look more green in color, simply due to the presence of multiple chloroplasts compared to the bottom. Now, it is also cylindrical, as mentioned earlier on. Okay, now spongy mesophyll, it is irregular in shape. Okay, and it is loosely packed. Okay, so being loosely packed itself, they have got all these air spaces in between them, which will allow the gas diffusion. Okay, so for example, carbon dioxide enters and it is able to diffuse through these spaces to enter into the palisade mesophyll and the spongy mesophyll. Okay. Now at the bottom, your lower epidermis, take note that they have got no chloroplast. At the lower epidermis, the only one that contains chloroplast is the gut cell for opening and closing of the stoma pore. Okay, so let me write that out. Okay, so there you go.